Hello, I am Dr. Balasubramaniam Tyagarajan. Today we are going to see the usage of fonts and the various features which we can change within the font family inside Scribus. Let me start by creating a small text frame. Then here, by going to the properties text, you can choose the font from the list available. This list is not 100% complete. It just reveals the usable fonts which are already available within the system. So for example, let us choose old bookman style and let it be 12 points, and if we start typing, let us see what happens. So this is actually a old bookman style font. So this font is more or less, the spacing between these fonts can be adjusted. The vertical heights between the fonts can be adjusted by going to the, see for example, let us go to the properties menu and go to the text. Here you can always choose to align this to the baseline grid so that it will settle into the baseline, and then columns and text distances, you can increase the text distance by increasing this value. See, just pushing the value from the distance is getting adjusted from the top, and if you increase here, the distance will get adjusted from the bottom, and similarly you can adjust from the right and similarly from the left. So you can do all this using these columns and text distances. And you can also, by going to the advanced settings, you can make use of these properties. Here this setting T, it increases the vertical height of the font. Just see, so it increases the vertical height of the font. So for example, let me see this. I'm going to increase the vertical height of the font, and then text, I can increase the vertical height, I can increase the distance between the fonts. So the space, the kerning space, you can adjust by increasing the distance, or you can decrease the distance till you feel the font is optimally placed, and then you can increase the vertical height of the font, and then you can use word tracking to track the dimensions of the word. So these things can be done. So if you want to study the font, if you want to preview the type of font which you are using inside the text, you can go to extras and you can go to font preview. So this screen will allow you to choose, and it also will give you the brief display of the how the font will look like when it is used. So for example, this is book Antigua bold italic. So here this is the text which is by default. You can even change this text and type your own, and if you click set, this will ensure that your sample text is displayed in the font you chose. So and you can also increase the font size and see how exactly it looks when you use the font. Let us try out a few fonts. So these things can be. So Garamond is actually a very good font for your printing a book. So this is actually different types of fonts which you can use inside Scribus. And then there is one more way of playing around with the font. So for example, you can go ahead and edit the text. So supposing you want to add some of the features to the font. For example, you can add a shadow effect. This is actually the store editor which we have started by right clicking on the text frame and choosing edit text. So we have chosen, highlighted the text for which the effect of shadow effect which needs to be applied. So I'm going to, this is actually the yes is the shadow effect. You can click to apply the shadow effect and then see what has happened to the text. And then you also have a choice of, you can offset the shadow effect, say increase, Y offset also can be increased. Let us see what happens by carrying out this effect. I will highlight this and give a shadow effect. Select it, give a shadow effect. The shadow effect is applied. So you see, you can play around with these values and ensure that the shadow effect is applied. Shadow effect is nothing but to similar font. Similar, if you want to apply the shadow effect to T alone, one more T is created and it is adjusted in such a way it gives out a three-dimensional look. For example, you can apply shadow effect just by clicking. It's a toggle switch. If you don't want the shadow effect, you can always select and choose again and the shadow effect will go. Again, you can, it's a toggle switch. You just select, click the S, shadow effect is applied. So this is one way of adding text effects to the text which you have typed inside Scribus. And there is something called superscript and subscript. Type 2 and subscript. So now I want to create a subscript here. So I will type a letter like say 2 here, highlight it and I am going to subscript it. So what has happened? So this is the subscripting is being done. And now let us do a superscripting. I'm going to add 2 here and convert the 2 alone. You select the text you want to superscript. Do this and click here. So now view the change. So superscript has been done and subscript has been done. And then you can make this entire sentence into all caps. See the effect, all shows in all cap. If you want a small cap, you can click here and it is giving out a effect in the small cap. So these are the things which you can use store editor to carry out these changes. And if you want to introduce some special characters inside a Scribus document, you can do the same by using the same store editor, going to insert, and then the character can be a page number of pages, trademark, say, let us say, so trademark is inserted. You can also do the same thing by going to the insert button, and same thing from here also you can do. And ligature is, if you want to use 2 letters, 2 words, your typed letters, similar words, does not have uniform spacing to your convenience, you can use this feature, ligature feature, so that the F and I will be like this. So you can choose. So instead of using FILE, so you can use this ligature feature to join these 2 letters. So you see the difference between this file and this file. FIL, I and L are joined. So that effect you can produce by going to insert using ligature. So it has a lot of ligature can be available in other, so many letters can be joined together, and these are all the default ligatures which are available inside the insert menu. And there are others special characters also can be inserted inside a text frame. For that happen, you go to insert, go to glyph. So inside glyph, I think you should be able to see the glyph. I'm going to click here. So what has happened? This will give a character set. Supposing you want to use the word function here, double click the function, then insert, the same thing is inserted here. So supposing you want to say for example currency symbols, you want euro, so you can insert euro, or you can, if you want dollar, you can insert dollar. So these are all the currency symbols which are available default. And then you have a punctuation here. So if you want a special punctuation like this, you can insert it. You can add this if you want. So if you want this, you can add. So these are the special characters you can add by going to the glyph, add glyph. So here insert glyph, and inside the glyph you can add. Go to the add menu and choose what you want to add. So for example basic Latin you can add, or you can go to the full characteristics and say if you want to add a hyphen, you can add a percentage symbol, you can add. So these things can be easily done by using this special characters palette. So next is we will again go to a concept of hyphenator. So let us go import some text here. So I've imported a text here. So I want to hyphenate this text so that it will look good inside. So here I do this by going to extras, go to hyphenate text. So if I accept this, it gets hyphenated. If I accept, so these things are hyphenated. So all these things will be hyphenated. So I'm going to give out hyphenate these things. The possible choices are given. So ultimately if I do this, so it gets filled up. So you see the hyphenate has been added, and more or less the text looks uniform. So, for example, you can high level of more accurate hyphenation can be done by going to the file, document setup, and then going to the hyphenator. Let us take away hyphenate text. Automatically during typing it will type, it will automatically hyphenate, and the smallest word, let us say we want it to 4 words, and consecutive hyphenation allowed is only 2. So these things you can apply, give a OK. So what has happened? Your text has been realigned and your hyphenation has been applied. So supposing you want to remove the hyphenation, you go to extra and see T-hyphenate text. So when you remove the hyphenation, you know the effects of hyphenation, whether you like the text you find in the text frame or not. Now again you can re-hyphenate the text and you can see the effect. So these are the ways in which you can hyphenate and de-hyphenate text inside the text frame. So playing around with the text is very vital, and one thing I will advise every one of you to do is to use Garamond text, Garamond font, if you want to have the printed document to look good on print. So I always prefer Garamond. The next choice will be Electra. You can know from going to the font preview is one feature which is available under extra. If you go to the font preview, you can search for the fonts which are available within the system. So I've been talking about Electra. Supposing if you click Electra, what has happened? It just gives a Electra which is available. So I will do a set and see how it looks like. So this is Electra bold. So this is how the Electra font will look like. Supposing you want to add a font into the Scribus which is not yet available within the Scribus, you go to document setup, you go to fonts. Here this list gives available fonts which are present within the system. If you don't want the Scribus to use any of these fonts, you can always uncheck this. If you uncheck this, Scribus won't list these fonts, and then these X family column tells you what are the other features to the font which are available. For example, extra bold regular is there. In fact, extra bold family, this is actually the family of fonts, and this is the name of the font. So the style, and actually this is the type of font which is true type. True type font have been jointly developed by Apple and Microsoft. So these are all the, this is actually the path to the font file. This is actually exact location of the font file. So you can use this font tab from the document setup to know what are all the fonts which are available, and then you can substitute the font. If the font, specific font is not available, you can give out the instruction to the Scribus to substitute the font either automatically or use a specific font as a substitute. Supposing you are importing text from another document into Scribus, if the particular type of font is not available in Scribus, if you choose font substitution, it will automatically be substituted to the font which you have chosen. Or if you have not chosen any font as default substitution, Scribus will ask for your choice, or if you say automatically choose substitute font, it will choose the substitute font. So here, supposing you want to add new fonts. If you want to add new fonts, you need to add it here. So if you download it and you want that font to be shown inside Scribus, what you need to do is you need to close this thing. You need to close this document. So this is the empty space. Scratch space is available. Now you download the font into a folder, and then you go to file, you go to document setup, preferences, go to fonts, and then additional path, you give out add. This will ask for the folder in which the fonts are available. So for example, let us try out to download Electra group of fonts. So here I am going to download this Electra fonts. I am going to download. I will then check out whether it has been downloaded. Now I have downloaded Electra LT form and I placed it in the downloads. After downloading and unzipping the fonts, you should keep it in a folder. You can add the folder path here. It is in the downloads. let me see group by date modified this PC and this users, administrators, downloads, and here this is where the downloaded font drive. I am selecting this folder. I will apply, give a OK. Now I will close, reopen the Scribus. Now let me see whether that font is listed. Font preview. So here, this is the font which you have downloaded. It is showing here. So this is how we install new fonts within the Scribus. Thank you.